Number 1, Greed. Greed was a 1924 film directed by Erich von Hofmann. Now, it was based off of the 1899 novel by Frank Norris called McTurg. Now, the original version of the film that he directed ran for 8 hours and 42 minutes. In mid-March of 1924, it was cut down to only 4 hours, before then later be cut down to 2 hours. This was the version that was released in theaters. Now, Eric greatly disliked this version of the film. He hated that it was cut down by MGM, as he believed it should have stayed at that 8 hours and 42 minutes. Now, only 12 people ever saw this version of the film, as in January 1924, there was a special screening, and these 12 people, from what we were able to gather, really liked this version of the movie, and they thought it was a masterpiece. But still, MGM thought it was too long to be a commercial success. Despite people saying that it was a masterpiece, they thought it was just too long to be something that people would to be an actual commercial success. Because again, it was nearly 9 hours long, because he wanted it to be accurate to the book. Now, the scenes that were to use in the film were burned purposely by MGM to extract the silver from their nitrate, as film stock was very expensive back then. And of course, they wanted to save some money using all this excessive footage they could have used, because it would have been an excessive amount of footage, reels and reels, just not being used. So they had to make some money back, and so they burned it. Now, there has been a 4-hour-long reconstruction of the film using production stills and a variety of other things, but a complete 8-hour and 42-minute version of the film is very unlikely, as of course it was burned. Now, to make the movie actually make sense, they had to add extra title cards throughout the film and text in different parts of the film, just so people wouldn't be able to understand what's going on, because you would have a hard time watching it raw if you're cutting down that much stuff from it. Number 2, The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby is a 1926 film created by the Key Lasky Corporation and distributed by Paramount. It was based off of the 1925 book of the same name by Francis Scott Fitzgerald. You probably read the book during high school English class. I haven't read it yet, but I know some students in my school have read it. Now, Francis himself actually liked the film, but his wife Zelda did not, and her and him actually walked out of the screening one time. That's how much he did not like it. Now, there are no known copies of it to exist at all, and even by the 1940s, the copies that did exist were low quality and degraded. As in 1924, the pre-production for the 1949 remake, they viewed a copy of this, and this copy was worn down and barely even viewable. So even by the 40s, copies that were made were degraded severely. So, and now with no known copies existing, besides for a trailer of the film, it's very unlikely we're going to find this film. Number 3, London After Midnight. London After Midnight was a 1927 horror film released on December 3rd, 1927, starring Lon Chaney. He was an iconic 1920s actor who starred in a variety of iconic and famous films, particularly horror films. Now, the movie costed $152,000 to make. Adjusted for modern times, that would be $2 million, and it produced $1 million. Adjusting for inflation, that's $19 million. So it made a lot of money. It made its money back and then some. Now, the last known copy of this film to ever exist was destroyed in a 1965 MGM Vault fire. Now, there was a 45-minute recreation made in 2002, but this is yet to be released to the public. Okay, now we do have a variety of stills of production images alongside a poster for it, as of course it was a big deal movie, because a movie like that would make it a lot of money made, so of course it was sort of a big deal. And of course, due to the fact that it was made before 1929, it was a silent film, the chances of it ever being found out are very unlikely. Around 90% of all films made before 1929 are completely lost, as this is due to a variety of reasons. First of all, the film most of it was made using nitrate. Nitrate is very, very flammable and prone to burning, and these cells had to be stored in precise, specific conditions, lest they either degrade into nothingness or they catch fire and burn. Alongside that, most movie studios do not care much about film preservation and would just simply chuck and throw away the films and did not have a care for keeping their history valued or archived. And sometimes they would purposely destroy their films, just like we talked about earlier on in the Greed catalog. Number 4, Cleopatra. Cleopatra was a 1917 film released on October 14, 1917, and was created by the Fox Film Corporation. It ran for around 2 hours. Now, the film sparked a lot of controversy among the masses as it was set with strict censorship on a local and state level, and many people found the film offensive and hated it. And this was mainly due to the fact that the woman who played Cleopatra was pretty bare dressed in the movie. Nowadays, you see a lot more scandalous things, but in the 1910s, the way she dressed, though not nude, was sort of close to it, and it ruffled a lot of people's feathers. It caused a lot of controversy, and once the Hays Code was enacted, they deemed the movie too obscene to be released, to be shown afterwards. And of course, the movie had already been out, but they said the movie was too obscene to be shown further on, and the last known copies of it were destroyed in 1937 in a Fox fire, and in 1958 in a Museum of the Modern Arts fire in New York City. Now, there are just 2 small clips of the film, a 16-minute long clip, a 16-second long clip, and besides the 16-second long clip, there's around a minute-long clip as well, existing and circulating freely online. But besides this, these 2 clips, due to the fact that, again, the last 2 copies were burned in a fire, it's very, very unlikely we'll be able to find the full movie, especially after this long, being in 1917. Now for our final one. Number 5, Saved from the Titanic. Saved from the Titanic was a 1912 movie created by the Eclair Film Company. It was released on the May 16th, 1912, and was based off of the true story of Dorothy Gibson, a woman who survived the sinking of the Titanic on April 15th, 1912. And again, this was only 31 days after the sinking of the Titanic. So in a span of 1 month, a movie was written, filmed, and released. Now, it received a lot of criticism from people who felt that it was cashing in on a tragedy. Now, she actually wore the same cardigan she wore when she escaped from the Titanic in the movie. And this was actually her last film that she ever started, as she allegedly had a mental breakdown afterwards and never started another movie ever again. And the last copies of it were destroyed again in a fire in 1914 at Eclair Films. Like I said, these films were heavily prone to catching fire due to the fact that they were made out of nitrate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I gotta say for today. Hope to see you all again next time, sometime soon. Bye. Have a nice time.